I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not here with me, no. We're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all, we should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back, starting from scratch. I won't let you go, no I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go, no baby I will not, because I still believe. You're my gravity. You will never be what I expected. Different frequencies, that's why we ain't connected. You know I will make it through, I got nothing to lose but you. It's true you're so far away, and it's true I can feel the same. It's another day, you know you want me to stay, but I go my way. I won't let you go, no I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go, no baby I will not, because I still believe. You're my gravity. You're my gravity. You're calling on my name, but the echo numbs your pain. Sorry, but more than just a shadow, I'm more than just a man. You don't care how I feel, you don't know how I feel. No, you don't know how. I wash away the sorrow till my heart can beat again. You're my gravity. No, you're my gravity. I will let you go, the only thing that I know. You were my gravity, but now I have to leave. I will let you go. Why do you feel that I want? What do you think that I want? I know how to breathe into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity. I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not here with me, no. We're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all, we should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back, starting from scratch. I won't let you go, no I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go, no baby I will not.
Warning. The Duracell Cup Series data file you have attempted to access is out of date. Uploading current file now.
It's a brand new car from stem to stern, and it's never been raced at these speeds.
The next gen car is opportunity.
Everything is different with the exception of like the seat, the steering wheel, and your helmet.
Unknown creates excitement.
Talking about my generation.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome here as we get set for qualifying, pole day qualifying for our 34th race of the 7th season of the NNSCRA Duracell Next Gen Cup Series. As we're back here at the place that started it all, Daytona International Speedway. We ran the Daytona 500 to open up the season, and now this racetrack under the nighttime conditions this evening for qualifying, and tomorrow night for the 8th playoff race, the middle race of the round of 8. The round of 8. Just make sure I said that correctly. It's going to play its part even more so into this season's championship. 45 drivers here in Daytona, getting ready to qualify for 42 available spots in tomorrow night's starting lineup. We'll see most of the chartered drivers in this first round. We'll see the non-charter drivers in the second round of qualifying. Fast 5 from each of the two rounds, the two groups I should say. We'll move on to run for the pole position in our Fast 10. 10 minutes in each one of these group qualifying sessions. Not a whole lot of time for these drivers to be able to put down the lap times, and it's really going to come down to being in a pack to be able to get those draft laps when it comes to super speedway qualifying. Austin LaPlante in the 48 is currently on the clock. We'll be bringing up the ticker with the times and everything, the amount of time left in the session once he completes the lap, and that data comes in on our scoring monitor. About 2 minutes have passed, about 8 minutes left on the clock, as LaPlante going to get a little bit of a tow off the back of Keith Batson there. That should help his lap time out as he'll clock in at a 48.818. LaPlante and Keith Batson there, a couple of playoff contenders that were eliminated from the playoffs back in the round of 12. LaPlante is 11th in the playoff standings coming into this one. Keith Batson is 9th, the highest running of the playoff contenders that have been eliminated at this point in time. None of our remaining 8 playoff drivers are locked into the Final Four. Last week it was a non-playoff contender in RJ Bishop going to victory lane at Boston. So at this point in time, it is points that all 8 drivers are looking at to be able to advance their way into the Final Four to compete for the championship at Michigan. As we look at our regular season champion Rob Evans coming out onto the racetrack. Casey Hoyt right now is the points leader of the Elite 8. 13 points over Matthew Rodriguez and 13 points over Dylan Poteet. Reese Banks right now is the cut line driver, sitting 4th in the standings. And he's got an interesting cushion back to the other drivers below the cut line. 9 points back to Jesse Turner, 12 points back to Ryan Butcher, 14 back to Jessica Shelton, and 17 back to Zach Rogers. But being a super speedway, and the fact that they're going to be close quarter racing, a lot of points on the table, Turner, Butcher, Shelton, and Rogers all definitely have a shot here this week, even without a victory, of making their way into the top 4 in points. And of course, if any of the 8 playoff contenders win here tomorrow night, they go into Rockingham knowing they are going to Michigan to compete for the title. There's one of our playoff drivers, the cut line driver, 4th in the standings, Reese Banks. Now, interesting point of note, this weekend holds a special meaning for 2 of our remaining playoff drivers. Not necessarily this racetrack, but this particular weekend on the schedule, because 1 season ago, this particular race, was Talladega, and Reese Banks went to victory lane, his first and up to this point only career win. And then a couple of seasons ago, Armory Digital Super Speedway was actually on this weekend of the schedule, and Jessica Shelton went to victory lane. Granted, for both Banks and Shelton, when they took their victories at those super speedways, they were not in the playoffs competing for the championship, but it wasn't at Daytona, but it was at this particular race number on the schedule, so you gotta wonder if maybe that's in the back of those 2 particular drivers' minds. Destin Bolin in the 12. A lot of big news out of the Young Motorsports camp. Big question on whether Destin Bolin, 3-time winner from last year, playoff contender from this year, back-to-back playoff contender, as a matter of fact, in his first 2 seasons with the organization, if he was going to return. And we got the confirmation. He is indeed returning to Young Motorsports. He will be moving over to the current 11 team that Will Goss driving for. It will be rebranded to the 02. His sponsorships will be moving over with him, and jury is still kind of out on who the new driver of the 11, or I'm sorry, the new driver of the 12 will end up being next season. Is Cody Lamas, 20th on the board, coming to Pit Road, hometown track for Cody. This and Homestead Miami Speedway. Chris Dollerton, a former Daytona 500 champion, right now in the 16th position. Dylan Young finished 2nd last week to his teammate RJ Bishop in the Young Motorsports 1-2 at Boston International. Right now 5th on the board for him, another Florida native. He has the final spot to advance into the Fast 10 as Casey Hoyt comes to Pit Road. Hoyt's going to drop to 7th on the board right now. Remember last week at Boston, Casey Hoyt was the only driver that qualified into the Fast 10 and started from the pole. That helped him really to be the strongest playoff contender all day long. As now Anthony McCrory has jumped onto the bubble spot into 5th, dropping Dylan Young to 6th and Hoyt down to 7th. Caleb Fogler right now in the 4th spot. Will Goss is in 2nd, and Dylan Pote, one of our playoff drivers, 3rd in overall standings, 4 points above the cut line, currently sits in 3rd. So he is in line as the only playoff contender currently in the Fast 5 from this first group. Fastest car is right here. Mitchell Collins getting a nice tow off the back end of this big pack of cars. Got some playoff contenders in this group. Matthew Rodriguez and Jesse Turner. We'll see if they're able to clock in anything in this final 2.5 minutes to get up into the Fast 5. Defending winner from last week, RJ Bishop's in this group. He's on the top side there, the Advent Health 98. Levi McIntyre, a 2-time winner on the season, leading this group. Michael Norman in the 22, just up ahead of them as well, former winner on the year. Cole Deaver, that legendary number 3, very well associated with Daytona International Speedway. Of course, the 1998 Daytona 500, when Dale Sr. finally broke into the winner's circle for the Great American Race. Deaver still looking for his first win on the season. As Collins has been dropped to 2nd, Anthony McCrory's Mazda is now top of the board. And I believe he was at the tail end of that other pack that we were looking at beforehand. Does not look like Turner or Rodriguez, like their lap times are improving despite being in this packet towards the tail end. A little bit of a pickup there for Jesse Turner. He goes from, looked like 13th to 12th. Rodriguez moved up to 9th from 12th place. And Cole Deaver just broke into the Fast 5. fifth position at a 44.837. RJ Bishop broke into the Fast 5 with a 44.833, so that knocks out Dylan Poteet and Will Goss from that other group. This is what you need to do if you're going to get into the Fast 5 when it comes to Super Speedway group qualifying. Let's see if anybody improves this time around of this pack. Bishop and Devers still 4th and 5th. Mitchell Collins still in 2nd. Doesn't look like any improvement out of anybody, at least to jump into the Fast 5 yet. Whoop, wait a minute. Rob Evans jumped up to 3rd. So that just displaced Caleb Fogler out of the Fast 5. McCrory, Collins, Evans, Bishop, and Deaver right now at the Fast 5. And because of Poteet getting knocked out, now none of the playoff contenders, at least from this first group, are in line to move into the Fast 10 to run for the pole. 23rd place for Reese Banks right now. That is last of all drivers here in this particular group session, which means that he would start very deep in the field. Now, granted, Daytona, Talladega, some of the other super speedways we've been at this season, like NM Super Speedway and Coca-Cola Super Speedway, track position isn't terribly important. You can work your way to the front, as Anthony just got knocked off of the top spot, dropped to 3rd. He's still in the Fast 5. I don't know who bested him. Collins got dropped to 4th. Is it someone from this pack? No, it's not. Who was it? Oh, it's back here. Casey Hoyt. Ryan Brommer just went to 1st and 2nd. So just like that, Casey Hoyt kind of pulling out the late race dramatics that he did back at Boston 1 week ago to advance into the Fast 10. And he does it again here. Hoyt and Brommer in the very closing stages of this one, now going to knock out Rob Evans and Cole Deaver. So McCrory, Collins, and Bishop look like they're going to hold the final spots here. And Casey Hoyt just improved even more on his lap time there. 44.752. And Brummer was a 44.758, 6 thousandths off of Casey Hoyt's his last lap time. And those two, in that little pack of about 5 or 6, in the final minute or so of this session, they are moving on to run for the pole position. So we will have at least one playoff driver again in the Fast 10, and it will be Casey Hoyt in back-to-back weeks. Anthony McCrory, Mitchell Collins, and last week's winner, RJ Bishop, will be moving on to run for the pole position from this group. Matthew Rodriguez, looks like he's going to be 12th. Dylan Poteet, 8th here in this session. Jesse Turner, 15th. And then Reese Banks all the way back dead last. He'll probably be starting shotgun on the field here tomorrow evening. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out. Got our second group coming up here in a minute. We've got our Fast 5 from Group A. Group B will be on track in just a moment. And the Fast 5 from each one of the groups will run for the pole in the final session of the night. Got some more of our Elite 8 drivers that are going to be in the upcoming second session. We'll see if any of them will join Casey Hoyt in the Fast 10 later on tonight. Qualifying from Daytona continues right after this quick race break. Thank you for tuning in to today's broadcast on NNSCRA TV. If you enjoyed your watching, it would help us out a lot if you'd hit that like button. Also, if you're not already, be sure to subscribe to become a part of the NNSCRA crew today. And if you're on your phone, be sure to click that bell to be notified whenever we have a broadcast here on NNSCRA TV. Once again, we thank you for your support, and we hope you continue to enjoy today's broadcast. Second group ready to head out onto the racetrack here for their qualifying session. Fast 5 will move on to run for the pole position with the Fast 5 from the previous session. And no, I didn't plan it this way, but the 5 drivers that we saw of our playoff contenders back in the first group come into this race 1st through 5th in points. Drivers 6, 7, and 8 positioning in the points are in this second group with Butcher, Shelton, and Rogers. Nope, I did not plan it that way. That's just how it ended up working out. Kind of odd, but then again, with the type of season we've had, is anything been odd? here in Duracell Next Gen Cup Series? Probably not. Well, I mentioned about the fact that this particular weekend, a few seasons ago, we ran Armory Digital Super Speedway, and Jessica Shelton was the winner of that event. Now, Shelton's going to be the first one out onto the racetrack here in that Mac Tonight Dodge Intrepid project car out of S3 Motorsports. Shelton, we keep talking about it, but trying to make history here, trying to become the third different team out of S3 Motorsports to win the championship and do it 3 seasons in a row. Kyle Matthews, Caleb Fogler, Stephen Pollard III did it back in Season 5. Charles Samper did it last season, and Shelton looking to do it here in Season 7. You heard the shift up right there as she hits the start-finish line. Up into 4th gear. Her teammate Charles Samper coming out there behind Fitzy. Zach Rogers in the 6th also out onto the racetrack. He was the second driver to leave pit lane right behind Jessica Shelton. Looks like Shelton's going to probably be able to merge with the 21 of Matt McIntyre. I know we've only got a few races left here this season. Daytona, Rockingham next week, and then the finale at Michigan. But I feel like Matt McIntyre is going to get a victory in one of those 3 races. He has been exemplary the last couple of weeks. Had all of those laps that he led back at Hanford. And then last week, actually 2 weeks ago, he ended up having that second place finish to Levi McIntyre, and last week another solid outing at Boston. Matt McIntyre has found his mojo again. We know he's returning next season to Michael Norman Motorsports, and with the momentum he's having here at the close of Season 7, keep an eye on him in Season 8. Shelton clocked in at a 48.890. That has already been bettered by Zach Rogers. Matt Haas has clocked in faster at a 48.025. Matt Haas, a former Daytona 500 winner, let's not forget, so keep an eye on him tomorrow evening. Just looking for his first win on the season. Had a great performance last week at Boston, jumped up 4 spots in the standings to 31st. Right behind him, Connor Breton in the 88. It was interesting when I was looking over the playoff standings coming into this weekend. 3 drivers managed to make the playoffs having not started every single race. Matthew Rodriguez is the obvious one. He, when the playoffs began, had only made, I believe it was 19 of the 26 starts. I'm sorry, 20 of the 26 starts. And Connor Breton and Jessica Shelton, don't forget, both ended up missing out on some races. Shelton, I believe, ended up missing out on Suzuka, and Breton missed out on Mid-Ohio. Looks like in this group is where your Fast 5 might come out of. Quentin Moore, Kyler Sustre, and Carson Gum right now first, second, and third. It was Quentin Moore for a moment, but Carson Gum, getting a nice toe off the back of Nathan Ormond, has now jumped up to the top of the board. Sustre currently in third, Quentin Moore in second. Nathan Ormond's right now in 4th. And 5th position is Daniel Voiles. 6th and 7th right now, Nick Gunther and Reggie Fogelman. So it looks like all the speed from this group is going to be right here, potentially in this pack. Nick Gunther trying to make it 2 Mazdas in the Fast 10. Anthony McCurry is already advanced. This time by improvement for the 55. He's up to 4th. Voiles drops back to 7th. Carson still at the top of the board. Orman now in the bubble spot at a 45.336. Quentin in 2nd and Sustre in 3rd. Let's watch the 26 of Daniel Voiles here, second car in line, just behind Gunther, just in front of Carson Gum. He'll dive to the inside here. He ran his fastest lap last time by, 45.470 to put him in 7th. As now Sustre comes to pit road. Let's see if there's an improvement out of the 26. There is, 45.194, but that only puts him to 6th because somewhere some other drivers were clocking in some fast lap times there. 7th and 8th right now on the board, Matt Haas and Zach Rogers, but I think there's somewhere else also. Well, it might have been those two that had knocked a couple of drivers from this group out of the Fast Five, but now they've moved back in. Not sure anybody's going to get Carson Gum for the fastest lap time in this group. Carson's at a 44.271. Next closest to him is Quentin Moore at a 4.30. That's about a little more than a tenth quicker. As Reggie Fogelman just broke into the Fast Five at a 45.185. That is going to knock, I believe, Nick Gunther out. Yep, knocked Nick Gunther down to 6th. This group might catch up to this pack here. And this pack is currently running around in the 10th through, 10th through 13th spot. Remember as well, we got the non-charter drivers here in this pack. There is one of them, Mike Tellier, who qualified for the Daytona 500 when we were here at the beginning of the season. Finished up inside of the top 10 as well. Had a good qualifying effort, but right now he is 16th on the board. Reggie Fogelman and Kyler Sustre, who are currently up in the Fast Five, would be the two drivers that would lock themselves into the field. Sustre 3rd, Fogelman in 5th. The other non-charter drivers that attempted to qualify this week, Trey Wright is down in 18th, and Jack Mitchell currently is the slowest in this session in 22nd. There's Ryan Butcher, 8th on the board right now for playoff contender. And he just got dropped down to 9th as Mike Tellier jumped up to 8th place. Right now, Mike Tellier, Trey Wright, and Jack Mitchell are eyeing to beat a 45.185 in order to make their way into the field to better Reggie Fogelman, who holds the second transfer position right now. 45.224 is what Tellier put down that last time by, so he's got to find another 4 100ths to be able to displace the 80 car out of Haas Racing. Moves low there on Zach Rogers. Let's see if there's any improvement this time by for the car out of Bishop Family Racing. Oh man, he jumped to a 45.189. That's 4 thousandths. 4 thousandths off of the time he needs. Can he find that 4 thousandths this lap? I don't know if Fogelman can improve his lap time. We'll drop back to him in a minute. Actually, we'll drop back to him now. Yeah, he's at the tail end of this pack, but he's not improved on the 185. As right now, Carson Gum, Quentin Moore, Kyler Sustre, Connor Breen, and Nick Gunther was able to break his way back up into the Fast Five, displacing out Nathan Ormond. 45.120 is what Nick Gunther just ran. We'll update here in a minute as he crosses the line. Nick Gunther, see if there's any improvement for him. Nope, no improvement there, but he still holds 5th place. Breton right there at the tail end of this group in 4th, and no improvement for Mike Tellier. I think this is going to be the last scored lap as well. And last time by, Tellier ran a 45.427. That is about 3.5 tenths off of the fastest lap he ran. Right now it is 4 1,000ths. Fogelman 7th, Tellier in 8th. That it might come down to of who's transferring into the event and who is not, and Tellier's coming to pit road. And somebody just leapfrogged Tellier. Did we have some last-minute drivers jump up into our Fast Five? Yeah, Gunther got displaced. Who replaced him? Orman did, moving up to 4th. Somebody else did too, though. At least I think somebody else did. Yes, it was Matt McIntyre. Matt McIntyre just jumped up to 5th place. And he's leading this group. Laura Chung, Ryan Butcher, Joshua Osborne in this pack, along with Charles Samper. Does anybody else have a last-minute shot here? Did they stop scoring? Looks like they did. Sanford was close. He just ran his fastest lap with the last lap that was scored at a 44.970. That was good enough for 8th. But Matt McIntyre, last minute, sniping his way into the Fast 5, knocking out Daniel Voiles and Nick Gunther. And that is going to do it here for this session. And the fastest one in Group B is going to be Carson Gum in the 19. How about that? 44.271. That might have been the fastest lap so far here tonight. Quentin Moore is going to join him along with Kyler Sustre, Nathan Ormond, and Matt McIntyre. A couple of Michael Norman Motorsports cars there in 4th and 5th. Sustre with being 3rd here in this session, the highest of the non-charter drivers. He's locked into the field. And Reggie Fogelman did improve his lap time, was able to gap himself to Mike Tellier. Fogelman, 9th place at a 44.982, will lock himself into the field as well. Tellier will be 13th, Trey Wright 18th, and Mitchell did improve from dead last but up to 20th. Those 3 drivers will fail to qualify for tomorrow night's race. Of our playoff contenders, though, it looks like deja vu from last week. Only Casey Hoyt will be starting inside of the top 10 as he will transfer in from Group A. Of the playoff contenders here from Group B, Zach Rogers was 11th fastest, Jessica Shelton was 12th, and Ryan Butcher was 16th. So that would more than likely translate to Rogers being 22nd on the grid, Shelton in 24th, and Ryan Butcher will probably be 30th, I believe, based off of what I'm eyeballing here in terms of the starting lineup. So we're going to have quite a number of our Elite 8 starting mid-pack to rear of the field, as only one driver is advancing into the Fast 10. It will be a 90% chance of a non-playoff driver starting on the pole, but that was the case last week at Boston, and Casey Hoyt managed to nab his 2nd pole of the season. Can he do it in back-to-back weeks? We'll find out in just a moment. Those 10 drivers, the Fast 5 from each one of our respective groups, getting wheeled out now, and they'll head on to the racetrack right after this final race break. Thank you for tuning in to today's broadcast on NNSCRA TV. If you enjoyed your watching, it would help us out a lot if you'd hit that like button. Also, if you're not already, be sure to subscribe to become a part of the NNSCRA crew today. And if you're on your phone, be sure to click that bell to be notified whenever we have a broadcast here on NNSCRA TV. Once again, we thank you for your support, and we hope you continue to enjoy today's broadcast. Final 5 minutes on the clock for drivers to give themselves good starting track position for tomorrow night's middle playoff race of the round of 8 here from Daytona. Interesting point of note, looks like the track has picked up a lot more speed, a lot more grip, the more drivers have been on it here tonight. Our Fast 5 from Group B all ran faster than the 5 drivers that transferred in from Group A. Matt McIntyre, who was 5th fastest in Group B, ran 2 100ths quicker than Casey Hoyt, who was the fastest in Group A. And Casey Hoyt heading out onto the racetrack looking for lightning to strike twice. The 3-time winner, the current points leader in the playoff standings, 2-time pole sitter and rookie points leader, looking for the 2nd straight week where the only transferee into the Fast 10 as a playoff contender. And last week when he did it, he ended up capturing the pole position and looking to do it here once again at Daytona. Michael Norman Motorsports obviously bringing some very fast race cars to the track this week, as 3 of the 4 drivers out of that team made their way into the Fast 5. Mitchell Collins from Group A, Nathan Ormond, Matt McIntyre from Group B. Also represented, you've got a Mazda out of Fortnite Squad Racing, a Chevrolet out of Fortnite Squad Racing, Toyota out of Auto Junction Racing, a Ford out of Young Motorsports, the Ford of Casey Hoyt out of Lake Effect Autosport, the Chevrolet of Kyler Sustre out of 4 Motorsports, and the Chevy of Quentin Moore out of Joanna Atwood Motorsports. So the odds are definitely in favor of a Michael Norman Motorsports Ford capturing the pole position, as they've got about a 30% chance. And I guess if you want to put Anthony and Carson being teammates on a Fortnite Squad Racing, despite them being in different manufacturers, then you could say a 20% chance for FSR. Waiting for the lap times to start ticking in here, as already nearly 3 of the 5 minutes have been used up. Casey Hoyt shows him as the only one that's put in a lap time, but our live scoring is showing him 3rd on the board. RJ Bishop is right now the fastest at a 46.446, and Matt McIntyre right there behind him. Is this the tandem there where we're going to see the pole sitter at? Obviously, we're not having the 20-plus cars out on the racetrack that we had in both of the other group sessions. As Matt McIntyre, top of the board, 45.818. Bishop, 45.868. And then right here, I think, is a group you got to look at. Casey Hoyt was a 45.905 last time by, but he, Sustre, and McCurry are all in a pretty good 3-car tandem. They might have something to say against Matt McIntyre's 818 here. They'll be able to get in at least another lap, maybe 2. Let's see what we get here. 45.650 for Kyler Sustre. That's what I thought, being that middle car, that he might be the one to go to the top of the board, and indeed he does. By a little more than a 1/10.5 over Matt McIntyre. Anthony McCurry jumps up to 4th. Casey Hoyt drops down to 5th. Improvement for RJ Bishop to a 45.775. That puts him to 2nd place. 780 for Matt McIntyre. They need a lot more, though. Sustre has them bettered by over a 1/10, 1.2 tenths from Sustre back to Bishop right now. And Casey Hoyt getting a nice tow there off the back of the 4. Oh, he's stepping out, though. That might hurt his lap time here. Let's see. 45.275. Top of the board is Casey Hoyt. And that may be it. That might have iced it. Ooh, a 2.97 right there for Anthony McCurry, though. That's about 25 thousandths off of Casey Hoyt's lap. Carson Gumbs at the very back here of this trio with Quentin Moore and Ryan Brommer. He might have a shot at it here. Let's see. I believe that this might be his last scored lap. Gets a nice tow there onto the 89. 45.243 goes Carson Gum. Oh, and look at this. Casey Hoyt might have had a shot to maybe counter that, but he's coming to pit road. 1,000 slower for Kyler Sustre. No improvement for McCurry. 7,000 slower. Carson Gum with that lap time right there. He may have just captured the pole position. Almost 3 hundredths faster than the lap he put down that was top of the board in round 1, Group B. Carson Gum, this would be his first pole on the season, if indeed he closes it out here. Let's see if they score this lap at all, or if scoring has ceased, and looks like they are not scoring it. So a 45.243 is going to have Carson Gum capturing his first pole of Season 7. And Casey Hoyt with a 2.75 will clock in at 2nd place to share the front rows. So in back-to-back weeks, Hoyt will start on the front row, though, as the highest playoff contender. And Carson Gum, who before this second round put down the fastest lap of the night at a 44.271, improves on that to a 2.43. Well, actually, no correction. This is actually slower lap time. I just realized that his lap time before was in the 44-second bracket. This one's in the 45. second bracket. So it's not the fastest lap of the night for Carson Gum, but he does hold the fastest lap at that 44.271. But he will get the pole, and Casey Hoyt will join him. Anthony McCrory will line up right behind his teammate Carson Gum on the inside of row 2. Kyler Sustre back in the field. The 4 will start in 4th. Ryan Brommer, he's going to share row number 3 with Quentin Moore. RJ Bishop, last week's winner, will be alongside of Matt McIntyre. And then Mitchell Collins and Nathan Ormond are going to be the final row. Interesting, 3 of the 4 Michael Moore Motorsports cars made it into the Fast 10, and they finished the lowest 3 on the speed chart. But they'll have good starting track position, be around each other, be able to find each other in the early going. We'll see how that pans out for tomorrow night's event. Carson Gum, the pole sitter for tomorrow night's race here from Daytona, a former Daytona 500 winner in his own right. So looking for another victory here at the World Center of Racing. Be sure to join us tomorrow evening as we are in the middle portion of the round of 8 for the playoffs. A driver could lock themselves into the Final 4 with a victory tomorrow night, or it could set us up with a very interesting point scenario in preparation for our final elimination race next week at Rockingham. Just the Cup drivers here this weekend. We'll see the Lights drivers at the season finale at Michigan. We've got to finish up the Cup schedule before then. So until tomorrow night, appreciate everybody tuning into this qualifying session. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe, part of the crew today, and we'll see you guys tomorrow night here as we're back under the lights at Daytona to set ourselves up for what should be a good final elimination race next week at Rockingham. But until tomorrow night, I've been Seth Cohen. You've been watching the broadcast courtesy of NNSCRA TV, offline racing at its best.